Let's tie my glass scud. This is a Tiemco 2487. This is 17-aught uni thread in white. I'm going to bring it back down into the bend of the hook. I tie this fly on backwards because when a scud scoots around, it scoots around backwards from what I've seen. Now I'm going to create a little bump at the back end of it, and what I'm going to do is take my Coq-de-Leon fibers. I'm using Coq-de-Leon about 10 to 12 fibers. I got a little bump there. It's actually the medium. Antennas don't need to be too long. But I like the Coq-de-Leon because it goes to a taper and it's got built-in barring and it's translucent. I cannot beat that combination. I'm adjusting the length of my Coq-de-Leon so that the fibers sit on top of the hook. Now this scud's going to differ from my latex scud in that I don't have an additional material for a hump, and also I ease up on the way to apply the legs. A lot of people have complained that they can't get the legs right, and so this is an alternative method that lets you put legs on it. Perhaps not as dense, not as many options, but still works. You be the judge and see if it fishes, because it still fishes like a son of a gun. Now I've taken my thread all the way, lashed down my Coq-de-Leon fibers. I'm going to bring it back in to the bottom. Now I've got a piece of 3X fluorocarbon tippet, and it's probably 1/4 of an inch long. I'm going to take a pair of pliers and flatten the middle section of it out. That's just so that it's easier to sit on top of the hook. If you take a round thing and match it up to a round thing, try to lash it down, it's not as stable as using something flat to something round. You can see in the back there I'm crimping that fluorocarbon tippet. Now I've put them in a pair of needle nose pliers. You can see my little flat section in there, and I'm going to wave it through a flame. And what that's going to do is melt my mono eyes both at the same time. See, I got just enough of bulbs at the both ends. And I'll figure eight those eyes onto the hook. Oh, lost it. I have to do it again. As many eyes as I've applied to scuds, you would think I'd have this down to could do it perfect every time, but no, I lose, especially something that small. Not a big deal though. It takes pretty quick just to take about 1/4 inch of 3X fluorocarbon tippet, crimp the middle section as I'm doing there, and then wave it, put it transfer into a pair of needle nose pliers or tweezers, and wave it through a flame. Pretty quick, and they're even. Once again, attempting to lash in my eyes with a figure eight. There we go. Bring my thread back up to the eye. Now I've got a piece of latex rubber. I actually got this off of the cuff of a surgical glove. I've got a little taper in there, as you can see, tied in by the tip. Take my thread and bring it to the back, to the back behind, so that I can wrap my latex rubber strip. I've got it hooked onto the eye actually. Now what I do is I take some super glue that I have this fine applicator for, and I'm going to smear a drop or two of super glue on there, and as I wrap, it's going to roll with the wrap, and it's actually going to dry. When you put the UV resin on it, it'll be clear, hence glass Scud. Now I do double wrap in some areas just to build up a little bit. I'm not depending on the edge of the latex to give me my segmentation. I'm going to use my thread to do that. See, I've got that extra bubble of super glue as I wrap back into the eyes. Now I take a little bit of that excess glue from the front portion of it and smear it onto my latex. And I capture my latex. And I don't lose it. And trim. Now I pull a little bit and then trim, hoping that I don't trim too much so that it gets away from me. Whip finish. And take my chart pad, my Sharpie, and just darken my eyes a bit. Now I have a single hurl of an ostrich plume, ostrich hurl in orange. I'm splitting the hurl in half, and that's going to be in my tie-in point underneath my eyes. I'm going to color my thread because I'm going to use that, expect to use that as my segmentation. Give me a little segmentation. And I'm coloring about 3 inches of the thread. Now take the ostrich hurl that's been split in half, and I'm going to capture it in my hackle pliers. And I'm going to twist it. And what that does is it makes the individual fibers or hairs on that ostrich hurl flare out. I'm going to pull that ostrich hurl and have it follow the contour of the fly from the underneath, or top portion as you're looking at it from here. So you get that nice brush going. And all I do is just wrap and try to keep even wraps and capture that ostrich hurl underneath the fly. As you can see, if I were to, you could take actually, 2 ostrich hurl, and then you'd have 4 layers. And if you twisted it, it'd be much bushier. And also you could have 2 different colors. Now I'm trying to keep it as even as I can. You can see the thread gives me my segmentation. Now I'm to the back end. I'm just going to wrap it a couple times and then trim off my excess ostrich hurl. And now I need to tie off. Whip finish. I don't wrap too many whip finishes because I know I'm going to coat that with UV resin. Now basically the fly is tied and is done, but we like to push things into place. Going to put a coating on there and just get those legs pushed more underneath the fly. And if they're out to the side, which they will be, you just take your nail and push them underneath. I take my cadmium orange marker, color the back. That way also the thread that I'm using for ribs also collects more of the dye, and so it really defines that rib. And you can do these in other colors: tan, olive, you can go black, even purple, whatever you feel like. But typically I've got them in orange, tan, and olive. And take some UV resin, coat one side first, and then go to the other side. What I'm trying to do is keep it out of the hurl. It's not a bad thing that it goes down into there. It gets a little dark. Well, it's actually, if you look at the edge where the legs meet the body on an actual scud, it is a little dark right there. I'm applying on the top now, a little thick. You can see the segmentation because of the thread. And I'm trying to keep it pointed down so that the extra UV resin, I can push it around a little bit and it gathers in the right areas. What's nice is you can push it around, and don't like it, just wipe it off. Now I hit it with my laser. You can see my segmentation. Now because it's really thick, I hit it with the laser for a little bit longer, and then I cook it under another light, a nail curing light for women's nails, for about 2 minutes, and then it's rock solid. Doesn't leave any residue, and there's no smears or fingerprints. Brush out the legs a bit. And that's my glass scud.